Here is the new photo that came out, and it shows that Iran hit another vessel close to Oman. It's a vessel
Oh,
40 nautical miles off the coast of Oman, was hit just moments ago by Iranians. This is the situation. I think, I don't know what would be. Donald Trump today was talking about he's going to reimpose the blockade on Iranians, and it's going to be tomorrow at 8 p.m. It seems that local time, 8
mhm.
p.m. local time, not East Coast or the time here in. So, what does he want to achieve with the new blockade? And again, getting back to the same old policies. What has changed so far that he feels that this time around going to be different?
Well, it's not just the blockade. He's now going to charge a toll. Remember, he was all opposed to tolls when Iran was doing it, but by God, he's going to oppose them now. Hey, well, this is all about U.S. maybe able to make some money off of territorial waters that it has no ownership or authority over. Yeah, so Trump's just he's sort of uh, throwing Jello against the wall, seeing what sticks. Yeah, it's just um, I had I'm unhappy to say that I was wrong. I thought that Trump, well, I was giving Trump the benefit of the doubt that sometime between last night and 8 a.m. On the East Coast this morning, Trump would have come out with some statement like, "Oh, okay, we've got good signs now from Iran. They're willing to talk, and so we're back on track." Well, he didn't do that. So as a result, the stock market fell a little bit, not tremendously yet, but the price of oil started soaring. So price of the Brent and West Texas Intermediate, those jumped over $80.
There is a new report about HIMARS launches from Bahrain, and this
Okay,
is new.
so they didn't get them all last night.
Yeah, it seems that they're having these weapons still. And the other point, Larry, today was the the case of Yemen, and the Iranian airplane tried to. I'm gonna get back to the situation because it's somehow changing. The situation is still fluid in the Strait of Hormuz. But before, continuing with that issue, today we had Iranian airplane going to Yemen and trying to land in Yemen. Then you had Saudi Arabia attacking the runway in Sana'a airport. So basically, right now, what's going on? Yemen hit back Saudi Arabia in one of their airport and one of their air bases, and today they have some sort of blockade on Saudi Arabia.
Uh-huh.
What,
And I
what
think
is going on?
they're gonna hit Yanbu with some missiles. I think I heard that they launched 4 missiles at Yanbu. I don't know if that's been confirmed.
They hit what was confirmed. It was one of the air bases. I'm gonna find it here. They hit two locations, at least two confirmed locations in Saudi Arabia. One of them was, yeah, let me just find it out here. The two locations, yeah, Saudi Arabia. These NOTAMs of Saudi Arabia, it says temporarily closing Abha International Airport. This is one of the locations that was hit. Saudi Arabia.
How do you spell that?
Abha. If I'm not mistaken, it's going to be
What,
Abha International.
APHA?
No, AB.
Oh, ABHA.
Abha. Abha International Airport and King Abdullah bin Abdul Aziz Airport in Jazan and Najran Airport. And basically all the airports is because Yemen is said in an announcement, they said if this blockade gonna continue on the airspace of Saudi Arabia as long as they have the siege on the international airport in Sana'a in Yemen.
Yeah. So Abha sits near southwestern Saudi Arabia. Um, so it's near the border of Yemen. So it's just barely across the border. And King Fahd that's up more the center of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, yeah. There, there is a footage of their missile hitting so hard in that airport, Abha International
Hmm.
Airport. But since the footage is somehow so much problematic, it's gonna be graphic. Then YouTube gonna remove it from our video. I cannot share it with our audience. But they hit so hard Saudi Arabia. And the problem for Saudi Arabia is if they continue with this sort of tit for tat with Yemen, they're going to hit their oil facilities easily. And they're going to hit their pipeline that goes to the Red Sea. And then it comes the difficulties they're going to face against Houthi or Yemenis Ansarullah in the Red Sea. They're,
Yeah, Abha is down close to the border with Yemen, but it's you got to go north about 300 miles to get to Yambu, 400 miles, I think.
when Donald, I don't know if you saw the reaction of Iranian foreign minister to what Donald Trump said. He basically said, "We're in charge of the Strait of Hormuz," and thanks to Donald Trump reminding us that whoever provides safety for the strait is going to be charging the vessels and tankers in the strait.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to. He said that.
Remember when he was protesting that Iran was going to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me just bring up the tweet of Iranian foreign minister, which was somehow, it says, POTUS is absolutely right. Whoever provides secure and safe passage of commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz should be compensated for this service. Iran has always been the guardian of this trade and will remain so forever. 20% is, of course, too much. We will be fair. Yeah, this is the reaction from the Iranian foreign minister to what Donald Trump said. I don't know if he seriously really think that he can charge the vessels 20%, and who's going to pay him?
Right.
And who's going to get out of the strait? Who's going to get in if there is the Iranian blockade in the strait?
I agree. It's just, he's, like I said, he's making it up as he goes along. Here, well, if Iran can do it, we can do it. Well, how are you going to track down those ships? You can't, right now, the United States can't prevent any ships from going through the strait. They can try. They'd have to start bombing and attacking foreign flag vessels, and without having any territorial right over that.
He said the United States, Larry, is closing its embassy in Abu Dhabi in UAE,
Mm-hmm.
in United Arab Emirates, and its consulate in Dubai as well. And due to security concerns, there is no attack, as far as I know, on UAE. And
There's going to be.
Yeah.
I think Iran will hit UAE tonight pretty hard, actually.
It seems that they're using UAE to attack Iran. That's why Iran would respond that way.
Well, yeah, that's one aspect to it. But also a lot of the fuel for the U.S. Navy comes through the UAE. So it's up to once once Iran starts taking that out, then the United States Navy is going to be in big trouble.
Yeah. Tonight he had Donald Trump had an interview in which said that let the Iranians know that we are on our way. You have to come out and do the revolution, do the toppling of the regime, the so-called regime in Iran. I don't know if he
Well,
really believes in whatever he's talking about Iranian people helping him.
yeah,
He must be there must be some sort of difficulties, some sort of problem with his mindset if he feels that way after seeing what has happened so far.
yeah. Well, you never know what he's actually saying, what he's being told. The other eye to keep out is the Al Ruwais refinery in the United Arab Emirates. So when they hit that logistics and refueling station of the U.S. Navy in Duqm, Oman, that hurt the Navy. But now, because it's the main logistics port for the U.S., so you cut off that port, U.S. doesn't have a ready alternative. But then you've got this Al Ruwais refinery in the UAE, which is a major source of aviation fuel for the U.S. Air Force. That needs to be taken out. So I think Iran knows that. We'll see if they target it tonight. They take that out, then the United States' ability to continue to conduct these kinds of air operations is going to come up against some real pressures.
Yeah. He said, I want to recover the costs because we are protecting a region that is one of the richest in the world. We are spending enormous amount of money, so we will recover the cost of this protection from Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and Bahrain. Dude, what? They were sacrificing everything. What's just amazing today? I talked with Paul Craig Roberts. He said that Israel started this war. They're not part of the war anymore. They're just sitting aside, and Iran and the United States are fighting each other, and the casualties of this war are GCC countries.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's going to continue that way until Iran, once Iran acknowledges the complete break with the MOU, then Hezbollah can be turned back on to continue its attacks.
That's going to happen soon because the Iranian parliament opened up today. They opened the Iranian parliament, and they're going to talk about these two issues. One of them is the Strait of Hormuz, and the other one is the case of Hezbollah. And I assume that they're going to vote for the resolution of the Strait of Hormuz. It's going to be part of the Iranian constitution, the same way that Russia did with the case of the eastern part of Ukraine.
Yeah.
I don't know what would be the reaction of Donald Trump, because is there any sort of military, Larry, you look at what Donald Trump is trying to do in this raid, sending again, announcing the blockade happening tomorrow night. And is there any military solution for that?
No.
In the eyes of those people, I'm trying to put myself in.
Military solution for whom?
For those people who are giving these sort of advices to Donald Trump. Is he getting advices from you, from people like you? No, he's getting from
no. Yeah, he's getting briefings probably from DOD, from Department of Defense or Department of War, however you want to call it, Defense Intelligence Agency, CIA, and it's very possible they're telling him things that he doesn't want to hear.
Who's running the show, Larry, in Washington today? Is it Donald Trump? The guy is not there.
He gets the illusion of being in charge. He's got his chief of staff. She plays a role. And you got the heads of, Treasury, Besant, and Ratcliffe, CIA. they're doing what they can. So,
in my opinion, if Yemen decides to attack Saudi Arabia and the oil facilities, the pipeline, that would put tremendous pressure on the global economy and oil market, together with the Strait of Hormuz. How is
right.
that going to be perceived by Donald Trump and the Americans? That's a big question.
Yeah, well, they're gonna find out that it's all gonna come down to diesel and aviation fuel. That's the thing to focus on. The headline on a lot of the oil markets right now is, oh, the United States is exporting. Let me read this to you. America extends its lead over Russia and Saudi Arabia in oil output. Well, with production, they're exceeding production of 14 million barrels per day. Yeah, what kind of oil? It's sweet oil. It's not the sour. The United States economy runs on the sour, not the sweet. All the sweet does is provide for making gasoline. Yeah, and so that'll keep the average person happy. But when the impact of shortages in diesel and aviation fuel starts savaging the economy, then all of a sudden you got a problem.
Yeah. Here is what Donald Trump said moments ago, Larry.
That Iran has agreed to a deal and then walked away from it. Have you reached the conclusion that a negotiated settlement won't be able to happen?
No, I never reached that conclusion, but we're hitting them very heavy tonight, as you know. We're hitting them. We have tremendous amounts of ammunition. We have numbers that we haven't had in years, and we're hitting them very hard. And we're controlling the straits. We're putting the blockade back. And it's a blockade not for anybody but Iran. In other words, anybody doing business with Iran can't go through. Everyone else will be able to go through. So it's a blockade. It's a very strong blockade. The blockade was probably more effective even than hitting them, but I think the combination is the thing that really does it.
But you think a deal is still possible? You think they'll return to the
Yeah, I think a deal is possible. Sure, I do.
I don't know how to interpret what the guy is. Today he said that there is nothing there anymore. The deal is, we're done with the MOU. Nothing is happening. Right now he's talking about the blockade coming up, and the deal is possible. Is a combination of everything.
Yeah, say that last part. Yeah, say that last part again. I didn't follow you.
Yeah, but I think he's telling us that the deal is gonna happen. Maybe he's gonna have a deal, and in the other interview he had said nothing is happening.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, look, I said at the outset, I was wrong. I thought he would have said that earlier. So the fact that he's saying now that there's still the deal's not dead. Boy, the ceasefire is dead and the MOU is dead. Where's the live part of the deal? So it is. He's they're going to do strikes. I think they'll do strikes tonight, tomorrow, as he said. They're doing them right now, so they'll do them again tomorrow. But Iran gets a seat at the table. Iran has a vote, and Iran is going to hit. As I mentioned earlier, they only have to hit 6 or 7 targets, and they do the United States enormous damage. The U.S. can hit 100 targets of Iran, and it doesn't do doesn't shrink their capability at all.
How do you see this assumption on my part? I assume that the United States didn't want Iran to hit Israel, so they came out with the MOU. The fake, as Donald Trump said today, it was a test for Iranians, but they didn't pass the test. So it was all about some sort of deceiving. They wanted to deceive Iran, and then they were going to get back with the same sort of conditions. The blockade is back. The sanctions didn't change. The Iranian frozen assets still the same. Nothing has changed. But the only thing that has changed compared to what it was before the signing of the MOU, that Israel is removed from the calculation. Israel is not getting attacked on the part of Iranians. The only thing that the only thing that has happened, to my understanding, it was all planned, pre-planned. How do you feel about that?
I'm not sure they pre-planned it, but they certainly had no intention of following through. I think you make that case. And again, Iran, from its standpoint, it negotiated in good faith, and it's the United States that betrayed it, and that's become apparent to all. And so now Iran's got a lot more leeway in responding.
Yeah. Israel is not getting attacked. Saudi Arabia is getting attacked. Iran is getting attacked.
No, when did Saudi Arabia get attacked?
No,
You mean
I'm
by the
talking, no,
Houthis, but no.
by Houthis today.
Yeah, I said by Houthis, but not by Iran.
No, by Iranians today. No, they didn't. Yeah, it was.
So
There was no Iranian
let's
attack
just
on.
yeah, let's just focus on Iran right now. Let's just keep
Yeah.
it in terms of who Iran's attacking, and then we can deal with the Houthis separate.
The reason I'm mentioning that, I want to say that the region is on fire, except Israel. Even Lebanon is under fire. Israelis are hitting some targets in Lebanon, but
Yeah.
Israel is not getting hit by anybody.
Right now, that's true. But I think that's going to change here in the next week or so.
How is that going to change?
If Iran tells Hezbollah, no longer have to abide by the MOU, Hezbollah will then begin retaliating against Israel for its attacks, and so that part of the war will be back on. And then Israel's made threatening noises to hit Iran. If they do that, then Iran's attacks on Israel will be back on. So that's why I say it's still very volatile.
Yeah. The other point is, if they get back to the war, one of the main objectives for Donald Trump would be the Iranian nuclear program and those 450 enriched uranium. Is that going to be a new operation on Iranian soil for that?
Well, yeah, it very well could be. Again, despite the CNN article, a piece you played at the outset, the reality remains that these facilities are buried deeply underground, and the United States does not have the weapons that can actually penetrate to that depth to really cause lasting damage.
He said, Donald Trump in the video said that the ammunition are better, when it comes to the numbers they have right now, is better than before this war started.
That's bullshit. I mean, it's just absolutely not. It's not true for the Tomahawk. It's not true for the JASSM. And both of those to be reproduced, they require a large number of rare earth minerals that China is sitting on and not selling to the United States. So the U.S. cannot go out and actually manufacture these missiles to replace what has been used. I was doing some research. We've talked about ATACMS and HIMARS. So the HIMARS it's a launch vehicle. I didn't realize that. So it's a launch vehicle. It's not a rocket. It's not a munition. So when they say HIMARS, these missiles flying are not HIMARS. They're either ATACMS or what's called the GMLRS.
But HIMARS is the system, is not the missile.
Correct.
Yeah. What is the stock? What is the situation with the stockpile of these ATACMS? We know that Ukraine used them a lot. I remember how many, every time we were talking about Ukraine using ATACMS against Russia.
Yeah. I think the number I last saw was less than 3,000. Not a lot. And that's in the entire inventory of the Department of War, which means those have to be split between Germany and between EUCOM in Germany and INDOPACOM in Hawaii.
here is the new report. Iran anti-ship missiles. Iran used anti-ship missiles towards ships off the coast of Abu Dhabi in UAE. And the entire convoy of U.S. escorted commercial ships is being targeted. It seems that they're putting a lot of these ships and vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. They're trying to penetrate,
Yeah.
the situation, the blockade, Iranian blockade in the strait.
Right. Yeah. No, they're going out of. And hey, I just got the number for you. Attack missiles, around 2,500. So, and that's for that's global. So you're supposed to have ATACMS with INDOPACOM and ATACMS in EUCOM. Well, if they're split equally, that means each has got like 800. And, if they're firing dozens a night, every day that goes by, if they fired a dozen today, a dozen yesterday, a dozen the day before, all of a sudden that's 36 fewer. The numbers will keep going down. That's the problem the United States has. It's because all of these missiles that go, the ATACMS missiles and the missiles also for air defense, like the PAC-3, the THAAD, they all require rare earth minerals that we're not getting anymore from China. We don't have ready stockpiles.
Yeah. There is a new report on CNN, Larry, that according to a CSIS analysis cited by CNN, by the end of full-scale war in April, the Pentagon had expended, at least half of its THAAD ballistic missiles interceptors, nearly half of its Patriot interceptors, and around 30% of its Tomahawk land attack missiles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be one thing if the United States had a system like Russia. Russia's got a built-in industrial system where they can, they use it up and they crank it out. They got more that gets cranked out every day. The United States doesn't have that because the supply chain, which depends upon China, has been shut off. And the United States no longer has the material it needs to finish these weapons.
The report says Pentagon currently is receiving only around 15 Tomahawk missiles and 20 Patriot interceptors per month, while no THAAD deliveries are forecast for 2026. So
that's the problem. The longer they stay out there shooting at Iran, the more they use up what they could think they'd have to use against China or Russia. Hell, China and Russia are sitting back grinning like Cheshire cats. Keep it up, guys. In fact, they'll probably even encourage Iran to keep up the attacks just in order to draw the United States out to fire more munitions that they don't have an ample supply of.
Here it says that the prolonged operations against Iran could gradually erode deterrence against the rivals such as China and North Korea. Yeah.
Yeah. We call that that's thank you, Captain Obvious. Yeah, there's a remarkable conclusion. Who could have seen that coming?
Yeah, CNN is just reporting. We were talking about it for months here. You were talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Larry, it seems that the attacks are happening in the strait. Again, I'm talking because it says the latest, it says that Iran is informing all the vessels not to penetrate this situation, not to penetrate the blockade in the strait. The fight is going on, and I think in the coming hours we're going to have the Iranian attack. And
reportedly, they've already launched some missiles. I don't know where they were headed, but they've already launched.
Yeah, but they didn't hit the targets yet. I saw that. I'm just checking here to find what are the targets. Yeah, it says UAE confirmed 2 of its tankers were struck by Iran in the Strait of Hormuz, in killing 1 crew member and injuring multiple others.
Mhm.
Here is what reported. The CENTCOM said at 4:45 p.m. Eastern today, the U.S. Central Command began launching the third consecutive night of strikes against Iran at the commander-in-chief's this direction, Donald Trump. These strikes will continue imposing a heavy cost on Iranian forces and degrade their ability to attack innocent civilians and commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. This is by CENTCOM. I have a simple.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I just said that's why I commented earlier that, okay, how many sites are there along the Strait of Hormuz that the United States might have to bomb? And I'll say there are thousands. So the U.S. is going to run out of bombs at some point to go after all those targets, particularly if they're quickly repaired and put back into operation.
It's getting. Larry, do you feel that somehow the situation going to get worse? We remember during the 40 days war, we didn't have Yemen joining the fight. And Israel was somehow involved in Lebanon, and they didn't that much participated in the initial days of war. They were part of the war, but as time went by, they somehow were more focused on Lebanon and less focused on Iran. How do you see the combination of forces right now?
But when you say worse for who? Did you hear me?
Yeah, what did I say?
You said it's going to get worse for. So who's it going to get worse for?
Yeah, I'm talking about the situation is getting worse, not for anybody. I'm talking. My question is, Yemenis were not part of the fight, and if they start the new fight with what has happened between Saudi Arabia and Yemen, how do you see the combination of forces in the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, the U.S. has no forces in the Strait of Hormuz until such time as they decide to try to put a ship in there. They have no forces. If they put a ship in there, that ship will be sunk. Iran will hit it with everything, and it'll be incapable of defending itself, and it'll be sunk. So the United States is not going to put a ship in there, at least right now. I don't think they're that crazy. If they decide to be that crazy, then they're going to pay a big price. And that'll be one ship's captain. He'll be court-martialed and not get another promotion. So Iran is well positioned and has a multi-layered defense to attack any ship that's trying to pass through the strait without permission. They can get them at the start or they can get them at the end.
They still are, in my opinion, they still are assessing the Iranian air defense system. I don't know by attacking in the southern part how they can find out about the capabilities of
who's they?
The United States is reassessing by each and every attack. Using the HIMARS. HIMARS are so difficult to be intercepted, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Russia intercepted them. So without a problem, actually. So, Iran is in a strong position. It's fighting from a defensive position. And no matter what the United States tries to do, it's not going to be able to counter that. That's the problem.
Yeah. Okay. So far, there is no report about Iranian attacks hitting any of these targets in GCC countries. Let's see what would happen in the coming hours. Larry, thank you for being with us today, and see you tomorrow.
All right, my friend. Same time, same bat station.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
yeah, there will be, it's going to be deja vu all over again. I think tonight will look like last night, and
Yeah.
the so you're going to see, Iran launched a number of massive strikes on a limited number of U.S. positions. So the U.S. is going to take more damage than Iran. That's the bottom line.